Claire Harrington with Social Tables Huddle. Today we are joined by Mia Mulrennan. Mia, welcome. Thank you for coming. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. It's so great to be a part of a Social Tables Huddle. I'm Mia Mulrennan, and I am a consultant, speaker, and really thought leader in the travel, hospitality, and tourism industry. And the reason for that is because I come from a different angle. I'm trained as an organizational psychologist, and I help my clients apply tenets of consumer, social, and organizational psychology to travel, hospitality, and tourism. So what's interesting about that and exciting about it is that everyone understands that there's a lot of psychology involved in having your clients stay with you and come back to you, but people don't always understand how to do that directly. So that's what I do in my speaking and my consulting and helping my clients do that.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sure a lot of your clients are high stress event planners. Actually, Forbes this year reported that event planning was the fifth most stressful job of 2014. So what are some of the things that you recommend to them to keep in mind when they're facing high stress scenarios?
Yeah. Well, this is a really, really important question. And I wanted to make absolutely sure that in my writing about this and in talking about this, that meeting planner, this would be all about you, very, very focused on you, because I want to start with the basics. First of all, in some of the writing, and if any of you have watched the other sections and read the other sections, we mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And as a meeting planner, one of the things that I would recommend first is to make sure you're taking care of your own needs. That if you know you're going to be in high stress situations, take care of yourself. Are you hydrated? Are you well fed? Some really basic things where I've worked with meeting planners, and when things are happening, they feel as though they can just move on and push forward. And you need to stop and be really cognizant of the fact that being gentle with yourself and taking care of yourself is primary. Don't lose that, even though the day is here, the event is here. So I wanted to start by saying that because that's so important. And next, what I want to do is help you, meeting planners, in focusing on what would occur when something goes wrong. Because one of the things I found that meeting planners are so great at is putting out many fires and dealing with the stress and taking care of so many things behind the scenes, especially when the conference is going on and happening. And they do this just magically, so that a lot of people wouldn't even understand that something had gone awry in the first place. So I know you all do that well, because I've seen you in action, and it is just amazing. It's incredible in the meeting planners that I've worked with. But what happens when a conference is happening and a problem occurs that cannot be taken care of behind the scenes? There is no way for your client and for the attendees to not be experiencing it directly themselves, or for you to be, kind of found out, if you will, as a person who's been planning this. And this is where, and the chips are down. This is where it's really important in the psychology aspect, because the majority of the time, if something goes wrong or goes awry, it is nobody's fault. However, as the meeting planner, you're the point person. People are going to come to you to get it taken care of. And even if they don't come to you directly, your client is thinking of you. And you've got to find a way to make sure that this is taken care of. So when I've worked with meeting planners, first of all, I would be very certain to stay in the moment. Take a minute to remind yourself that in these situations, it would be difficult for any human being to stay calm, stay cool, collected, but that you have what it takes to be able to do this just by being in the industry that you're in and all the experiences that you've had. So that's something I've certainly recognized in meeting planners, that ability to stay so what I call adjusted during times of stress is incredible. And then a formula that I've given in helping meeting planners, doing speaking engagements to meeting planners, coaching them along with them, has been something very simple that you can remember in the moment, which is RRDD. That stands for recognize, respond, deliver, and divert. And it's really easy, the RRDD. And I'll kind of walk you through the steps, but before I do, I want to say that it's important to do all four, because the bigger the problem is, the more important it is to number one, recognize. And this is difficult. If a problem is happening, you want to right away go to the deliver, which is, oh my gosh, do something now.
Fix it.
That could be the worst possible thing to do. So the recognize. And in this stage, you're not only recognizing, something's not right, but you're also recognizing all of the stakeholders involved. You're reminding yourself that it's not just about the attendees, but it's about your client, it's about your team, it's about the team that is at the venue that you're at right now. It's more than just your client and the attendees. So take the time to perceive what's truly going on. Pause. And here's where you're going to see, what the source of the problem might be, who can really take care of it down the line, but you need to be gathering information at this point in time. And that really is what the recognize is all about. Recognize what's happening and gather information, and pause to do that. Really important. The next step is to respond. And this is not action. This is important. Respond is not about action. It's about coming up with options, solutions, recommendations, communicating how you're going to do that, coming up with a plan for how you're going to communicate and to whom, what those solutions and recommendations are going to be. So respond is how you're going to respond, and plan. It is not action yet.
That's going to be hard. I'm a meeting planner. That's very difficult to consider.
Yeah, and it really is about, what are we going to do in order to deliver this in the highest quality form possible? And you can't deliver it in the highest quality form possible if you aren't laying out a plan, if you're not coming up with the best options, recommendations, solutions, and then saying, how are we going to communicate this to our client? How are we going to communicate this to the team? How are we going to communicate this to our attendees? And how are we going to communicate this and work with the staff who are here at the hotel or the conference center or wherever it might be? So that's the respond. How are we going to respond? Finally, action is deliver. That's the third component. And this is where you just do it. This is where you pull no punches, pull out all the stops. If the problem is complex, remember that the solution is not something that you can do alone. So if the problem is pretty large, don't be a lone ranger. Enlist others, ask for help, get the team together, delegate, do whatever it takes to deliver the solution and communicate to others what's going on. So as you can see, if you are someone who prefers this third step at the deliver component, but you haven't done the other two, here's where you can run into some problems, because the lone rangers are the ones who end up thinking that just because they're doing it quickly and because they can feel they can do it themselves, may not find the best solution and may not find a solution that is the most expedient, because someone else can be doing something while you're doing another piece, while someone else is doing another piece. And you would have never realized that if you hadn't gone through the first two steps.
That collaboration factor is very important. Meeting planners are definitely lone wolves. We're all so focused on our own checklists and driving home and getting it finished. So it's an interesting thing to note.
Yeah, and going all the way back to the very beginning, one of the best things that you can do sometimes is ask for help or delegate, and really utilizing teams that are there. And that will take care of a lot of circumstances. One of the most important of which is taking better care of you as the meeting planner. So, and then finally, divert. And there's a lot of psychology behind this, but if a problem has occurred, one of the things I've noticed in the travel, hospitality, and tourism industry is people will apologize and then re-apologize for a problem occurring. And this is the wrong thing to do. You need to acknowledge it, and you need to apologize, and you need to deliver, and then you need to not apologize again. You need to divert people's attention from the problem once the solution has been implemented. Incredibly important. So divert, amazingly, and when done well, ends up being an entertainment factor. And I know that sounds funny, but it's something that can become a huge positive in your conference or in your solutions as a meeting planner. Things like using humor is a huge component. Another piece that I found is using common human experience as part of the solution or in your communications with the meeting attendees. And that is something, but it's all diversion. It's not revisiting the problem. It's not reminding people that this problem occurred. It's finding something that stands in the place of it, that is going to be something that is enjoyable from the needs component. So sometimes it can be related to something as simple as, a treat or food, for those of you who read the blog entry. And if you haven't, that's probably intriguing to you, so you've got to read it now.
That's good placement. That's good marketing.
Yeah, that's right. But divert is really important as the final component, and it's where I see a lot of meeting planners shine, and a lot of clients can really become enamored by you as their meeting planner if you can do this well.